Please, please don't die on me. 7-year-old Emma Dawson pressed her frozen hands against the dying man's chest. His heart was barely beating. His lips were blue. Blood pooled beneath his skull, steaming against the snow. His leather jacket said Hell's Angels. His face said death. She hadn't spoken a single word to any stranger in 2 years. Not since the accident that killed her parents. But now her voice ripped through the frozen Wyoming air like a scream. Stay with me. Stay with me, mister. I won't let you go. 47 minutes. 1 child. 1 dying outlaw. And a silence that shattered the Hell's Angels forever. Drop where you're watching from. Subscribe now. This story will break you. Emma Dawson saw the smoke first. It curled up from the ravine like a gray snake twisting against the white sky. She stopped walking. The school bus had dropped her off 10 minutes ago, same as every day. The same frozen road. The same half-mile walk to Grandma Ruth's farmhouse. But today was different. Today, there was smoke. Emma's boots crunched through the snow as she moved toward the edge of the road. Her backpack felt heavy. Her breath came out in little clouds. She should keep walking. Grandma would worry if she was late. But the smoke. She reached the guardrail and looked down. Her heart stopped. A motorcycle lay at the bottom of the ravine, maybe 30 feet down, black and chrome, twisted and broken. And next to it, a man. Face down in the snow. Not moving. Emma's throat closed up. Run, her brain screamed. Run and get Grandma. Run and call for help. But her legs wouldn't move. The man wasn't moving either. Emma grabbed the guardrail with both hands. The metal was so cold it burned through her mittens. She looked at the man again. His jacket was black leather with patches and a skull on the back. Blood pooled around his head, dark against the white snow. He's dead, she thought. He's already dead. Then his hand twitched, just barely, just a small movement. But Emma saw it. He's alive. Her body moved before her brain caught up. She was sliding down the ravine, half-falling snow filling her boots and soaking through her coat. She landed hard at the bottom, pain shooting through her ankle, but she didn't care. She crawled to him. Up close, he was huge. Bigger than her daddy had been. His face was turned to the side. Eyes closed, blood matting his beard. Ice crystals clung to his eyebrows. His lips were blue. Emma's hands shook as she reached out and touched his shoulder. Cold. So cold. Mister? Her voice came out tiny, barely a whisper. Mister, can you hear me? Nothing. She shook him harder. Mister, please, please wake up. His eyelids fluttered. Just for a second. Then nothing. But it was enough. He's alive, Emma thought. He's alive and I have to help him. She looked up at the road above her. It seemed so far away now. She could climb back up, run home, get Grandma. That was the smart thing to do. But how long would that take? 15 minutes, 20. He'd be dead by then. Emma looked at the man again. At his blue lips and gray skin. At the blood still seeping from somewhere under his hair. I can't leave him, she realized. I can't let him die alone. She pulled off her coat. The cold hit her like a slap. Her thin sweater was nothing against the Wyoming winter. But she didn't hesitate. She laid her coat over the man's chest, tucking it around his shoulders the way Grandma tucked blankets around her at night. It wasn't enough. She knew it wasn't enough. Think, Emma. Think. She remembered something. Last winter, when the power went out for 3 days, and Grandma had kept them warm with hot water bottles and body heat. Shared warmth, Grandma called it. The most precious gift you can give someone who's freezing. Emma lay down next to the man. She pressed her small body against his side, trying to share whatever warmth she had left. Her teeth chattered. Her whole body shook, but she didn't move away. "You have to stay awake," she told him. Her voice was louder now, stronger. "You have to fight. Do you hear me? You have to fight." The man groaned, a low, terrible sound. "That's it." Emma's heart leaped. "That's good. Keep fighting. I'm here. I'm not leaving you." She didn't know how long she lay there. Minutes. Maybe longer. The cold crept into her bones, made her joints ache, made her want to sleep. But every time her eyes started to close, she forced them open again. Talk to him, she thought. Keep him awake. Keep yourself awake. "My name is Emma," she said. "Emma Dawson. I'm 7 years old. I live with my Grandma Ruth up the road. She makes the best apple pie in Wyoming. That's what Daddy used to say. He said Grandma's pie could make angels cry." The man's breathing changed. Slightly deeper. Slightly stronger. Emma kept talking. "I have a dog named Biscuit. He's old and fat and he snores really loud. Grandma says he sounds like a tractor, but I think tractors are louder. I've never actually heard a tractor up close, though, so maybe I'm wrong." Another groan from the man. His fingers twitched against the snow. "I don't talk to people very much," Emma admitted. "Not since Mommy and Daddy went to heaven. That was 2 years ago. There was an accident. A bad one. I was in the car too, but I didn't get hurt. Just them." Her voice cracked. "The doctor said I have something called selective mutism. That means I choose not to talk. But I don't think I choose it. I think the words just get stuck, like there's a door in my throat and it won't open." She looked at the man's face. Still gray. Still too still. "But it's opening now," she whispered. "For you. I don't know why, but it's opening for you." The man's eyes moved behind his closed lids. "You have to stay with me, mister. You have to stay awake. I'm going to get you warm, and then Grandma's going to come looking for me, because I'm late. And she always worries when I'm late, and she'll find us, and she'll fix you because she used to be a nurse, and she can fix anything." Emma pressed closer to him. "Please," she begged. "Please don't die on me. I already lost my Mommy and Daddy. I can't watch someone else die. I can't. Please." The man's mouth opened. No sound came out, just a breath of air. But his eyes cracked open, just a sliver, just enough to see her. Emma stared at him. His eyes were blue, pale blue like frozen water. And there was something in them. Pain, yes. Fear, yes. But something else, too. Something like gratitude. "You came back," Emma breathed. "You came back." His lips moved. She leaned closer, trying to hear. "Angel, what angel?" Emma's eyes filled with tears. "No, mister. I'm not an angel. I'm just Emma. Just a regular girl." But the man's eyes had closed again. "No. No, no, no." Emma shook him. "Mister, wake up. You have to wake up. Please." Nothing. She pressed her ear to his chest, listened hard. There. A heartbeat. Weak. Thready. But there. Okay, he's still alive. He's still fighting. Emma sat up. Her whole body was shaking now, not just from the cold. She looked at the man's jacket again. The skull and wings on the back. The patches that said, Hell's Angels. Grandma had told her about Hell's Angels once, said they were dangerous men, said Emma should stay away from them if she ever saw one. But this man didn't look dangerous. He looked broken. He looked like someone who needed help. He looks like Daddy, Emma realized suddenly. After the doctors told us Mommy didn't make it, he looked just like this, empty, lost. She lay back down beside him. "I'm going to tell you a story," she said. "My mommy used to tell me stories when I couldn't sleep. She said stories keep the darkness away." The man didn't respond, but Emma talked anyway. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a big farmhouse with her mommy and daddy. They were the happiest family in the whole world. Every night, the daddy would carry the little girl on his shoulders, and she would pretend she was flying. And every morning, the mommy would make pancakes shaped like butterflies, because butterflies were the little girl's favorite thing. Emma's voice trembled. But then one day, a bad thing happened. A very bad thing, and the mommy and daddy had to go to heaven. The little girl was very sad. She was so sad that she forgot how to talk. The words just wouldn't come out anymore. She tried and tried, but it was like her voice had gone to heaven too. Tears slid down her cheeks, freezing almost instantly. But then one day, the little girl found someone who needed her. Someone who was hurt and scared and alone. And even though she was scared too, she stayed with him. She talked to him. She told him stories, because that's what her mommy would have done. That's what her daddy would have done. She looked at the man's face. "They were good people," Emma whispered. "The best people, and I think they sent me to you. I think they're up there right now watching, making sure I do the right thing." The man's hand moved. Emma stared as his fingers slowly, painfully reached toward her. His hand was so big, scarred and calloused and covered in tattoos. But it reached for her like a drowning man reaches for a lifeline. She took it. His fingers closed around hers. Weak. Barely any strength, but holding on. "I've got you," Emma said. "I've got you, mister. Just hold on. Help is coming. Just hold on." The snow started falling harder. The wind picked up, biting through Emma's sweater. She was so cold now, so tired. Her body wanted to shut down to sleep, to let the darkness take her. But she held on to the man's hand, and she kept talking. "Did you know that butterflies can't fly if they're too cold? That's why they migrate. They go to warm places where the sun shines all the time. I wish I could migrate. I wish I could fly somewhere warm right now." The man's grip tightened, just slightly. "But I won't leave you," Emma promised. "Even if I'm cold, even if I'm scared. I won't leave you alone. Nobody should die alone. That's what Grandma says. That's why she held Grandpa's hand when he went to heaven. She said it's the last gift you can give someone. Being there. Just being there." Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. Emma couldn't tell anymore. The cold had seeped so deep into her bones that she'd stopped shivering. That was bad, she knew. Grandma had told her that. When you stop shivering, it means your body is giving up. But she didn't let go of the man's hand. "My daddy's name was Thomas," she said. "Thomas Dawson. He was a firefighter. He ran into burning buildings to save people. Mommy used to say he had no fear, but I know that's not true. He was scared of spiders. And of Mommy, when she was angry." Something happened on the man's face. A flicker. Almost like a smile. "Mommy's name was Claire. She was a teacher, 3rd grade. She always smelled like chalk and flowers. I miss that smell. I miss everything about her." The man's eyes opened again. This time they were clearer, more focused. They found Emma's face and stayed there. "Hey," Emma whispered. "You're back." His mouth worked. "Kid?" Emma's heart soared. "You talked. You said a word." His voice was like gravel scraping on concrete. "You need to go. No. Get help. I'm not leaving you." His eyes hardened. Something fierce behind the pain. "Go. Now. I'm not worth—" "You are worth it," Emma said fiercely. "You're worth it because you're a person, because you have people who love you, because you matter." The man stared at her. "And even if nobody loves you, even if you're all alone in the whole world, you still matter, because you're alive. And being alive is the most important thing." Tears leaked from the corners of the man's eyes. They froze almost instantly, but Emma saw them. "Who are you? I told you. I'm Emma. Emma Dawson. And I'm going to save you." The man's grip on her hand tightened. "Emma. Yeah, thank you." Emma smiled through her own tears. "You're welcome, mister. Now stop talking and save your energy. We're going to get through this. Both of us." The man closed his eyes, but his hand didn't let go. Emma pressed closer to him. She could feel his heartbeat now stronger than before. Still weak, but fighting. He was fighting. "That's it," she whispered. "Keep fighting. I'll fight with you." She heard it then. Far away, but getting closer. A voice calling her name. "Emma. Emma. Where are you, Grandma?" "Here." Emma screamed. Her voice cracked from disuse, from cold, from 2 years of silence. But it came out, loud and clear. "Grandma down here. Hurry. Emma. Oh, dear God. Emma, there's a man. He's hurt. He needs help." The sound of scrambling. Snow falling. And then Grandma Ruth appeared at the edge of the ravine, her face white with fear. "Emma, baby. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Grandma." But he's not. "Please help him. Please." Ruth looked at the man, at his jacket, at the skull and wings. Emma saw her grandmother's face change, saw the recognition, the fear. "Grandma, please." Ruth's eyes moved to Emma, to the coat covering the man, to their joined hands. Something shifted in the old woman's expression. "Hold on, baby. I'm coming down." She half slid, half fell down the ravine, landing in a heap at the bottom. But she was up immediately, moving to the man's side, her nurse's training taking over. "How long has he been like this?" "I don't know. Maybe an hour. I found him, and I tried to keep him warm. I talked to him. I didn't leave him." Ruth's hands moved over the man's body, checking for injuries. Her face was grim. "He's hypothermic. Bad. And there's a head wound. Maybe internal bleeding too. Is he going to die?" Ruth looked at her granddaughter, at the girl who hadn't spoken a word to anyone outside this house in 2 years, at the child who was shaking uncontrollably but refusing to let go of a stranger's hand. "Not if I can help it," Ruth said. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911. Her voice was calm and professional as she gave their location, described the injuries. But her eyes never left Emma. "Ambulance is coming," Ruth said. 20 minutes. He might not have 20 minutes. Then we keep him warm. We keep him fighting." Ruth stripped off her own coat, layered it over the man's body. "We do what we can, Emma. That's all anyone can do." Emma nodded. "You talked," Ruth said softly. "You actually talked. He needed me." Ruth's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, baby. Oh, my sweet, brave baby." She pulled Emma into her arms coat, and all sandwiching the man between their bodies, sharing their warmth. "We've got you, Ruth," whispered to the stranger. "Whoever you are, we've got you. Just hold on." The man's eyes cracked open one more time. He looked at Ruth, then at Emma. "Angel," he whispered again, and then his eyes closed. But his heart kept beating. Weak and thready, but there. Still there. The ambulance arrived 18 minutes later. The paramedics worked fast, loading the man onto a stretcher, barking orders to each other. One of them stopped to check Emma. "You saved his life, kid," he said. Keeping him warm like that, talking to him, keeping him conscious. "That's textbook hypothermia treatment." "Where'd you learn that?" Emma looked at her grandmother. "She taught me," Emma said. "She taught me everything." Ruth pulled Emma close as they watched the ambulance drive away, lights flashing against the darkening sky. "Grandma, yes, baby. He called me an angel." Ruth was quiet for a moment. "Maybe you are," she said finally. "Maybe that's exactly what you are." Emma shook her head. "I'm just Emma, but I think maybe that's enough. I think maybe just being Emma is enough." Ruth held her tighter. "It's more than enough, baby. It's everything." They stood there in the snow, grandmother and granddaughter, watching the ambulance disappear around the bend. Neither of them knew what would come next. Neither of them knew that the man on that stretcher would change their lives forever. But Emma knew one thing for certain. She had found her voice again. And she was never letting it go. The hospital called at 3 a.m. Ruth answered on the first ring, her hand shaking. She'd been sitting by the phone for hours, unable to sleep, unable to stop thinking about the man in the ravine. "Mrs. Dawson, this is Dr. Hernandez at Clearwater General. Is he alive? He's stable. Hypothermia, broken ribs, shattered collarbone, severe concussion. He lost a lot of blood." The doctor paused. "Another 15 minutes out there, and he would have been dead. Your granddaughter saved his life." Ruth looked at Emma, who was curled up on the couch, finally asleep. The girl had refused to go to bed, had insisted on staying by the phone. What happens now? He's asking for her. Ruth's grip tightened on the phone. "Excuse me, the girl." "Emma." He keeps saying her name. He's confused, disoriented, but he keeps asking for the angel who saved him. Ruth closed her eyes. "He's a Hell's Angel, doctor. Do you know what that means? I know what his jacket says, Mrs. Dawson. I also know he has military dog tags around his neck. Army Ranger, 2 tours in Afghanistan. Whatever he is now, he was a hero once." Ruth was quiet for a long moment. "We'll be there in the morning," she said finally. Emma woke up the moment Ruth touched her shoulder. "Is he okay?" The girl's voice was clear, strong. 2 years of silence, and now she couldn't stop talking. "Is he alive? Can we see him? He's alive, baby. He's asking for you." Emma was on her feet before Ruth could say another word. "Let's go. It's 3 a.m, Emma. So, he's alone. He's scared. We have to go." Ruth looked at her granddaughter, at the fierce determination in those young eyes, the same determination she'd seen in her daughter Claire, the same stubborn refusal to abandon someone in need. "Get your coat," Ruth said. The hospital was quiet at that hour. Empty hallways, flickering fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic and fear. Emma walked beside her grandmother, her small hand gripping Ruth's tightly. But she wasn't afraid. She was focused. "Room 412, the nurse said. "He's been in and out of consciousness. Don't be alarmed if he doesn't recognize you." "He'll recognize me," Emma said. Ruth pushed open the door. The man lay in the hospital bed, surrounded by machines, tubes and wires everywhere. His face was swollen, bruised, barely recognizable as human. but his eyes were open. And they found Emma immediately. Angel. Emma let go of Ruth's hand and walked to the bed. She didn't hesitate, didn't flinch at the sight of him. "I told you," she said. "I'm not an angel. I'm Emma." The man's cracked lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "Emma," he repeated. "The girl who talked to me. You remember I remember everything." His voice was raw, broken. The butterflies. Your parents, the story about the happy family. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You were listening. Every word. He reached out his hand, trembling with the effort. Every single word. Emma took his hand, just like she had in the snow. "What's your name?" she asked. "Marcus. Marcus Callahan." "That's a nice name. But it sounds serious. Do people call you something else?" The man's eyes flickered. Something passed across his face. Pain that had nothing to do with his injuries. "They call me Reaper." Emma tilted her head. "Like the Grim Reaper." "That's kind of scary. It's supposed to be. But you're not scary." Emma squeezed his hand. "You're just sad." Ruth watched from the doorway, her heart pounding. Her granddaughter was holding hands with a Hell's Angel, a man whose jacket promised violence, a man whose nickname was Death itself. And yet, Emma wasn't afraid, and the man wasn't threatening. He was crying. Silent tears streaming down his bruised face as a 7-year-old girl held his hand and told him he wasn't scary. "How did you know?" Reaper whispered. "In the snow. How did you know I needed you to talk? Because that's what my mommy did," Emma said simply. "When I was scared, she talked to me. She said words are like medicine. They can heal things that nothing else can. Your mommy sounds smart." She was. Emma paused. "She's in heaven now, with my daddy." "I know. You told me. I tell you a lot of things." "Yeah." Reaper's grip tightened on her hand. "You do." Ruth stepped forward. "Mr. Callahan, I'm Ruth Dawson, Emma's grandmother." Reaper's eyes moved to her. Something shifted in his expression. Wariness. The look of a man who was used to being judged. "Ma'am, my granddaughter saved your life." "I know. She hasn't spoken to anyone outside our family in 2 years." Ruth's voice cracked. "Not one word. And then she found you and suddenly she can't stop talking." Reaper looked back at Emma. Why he asked her? Why me? Emma thought about it. Really thought her face scrunching up the way it did when she was taking something seriously. "Because you needed me," she said finally. "And I think maybe I needed you too." Reaper's face crumbled. Ruth watched as this massive man, this Hell's Angel, with his skull patches and his violent nickname, broke down completely, sobbing like a child, holding onto her granddaughter's hand like it was the only thing keeping him alive. "I lost them," he choked out. "My wife, my daughter, 6 years ago, drunk driver." Emma didn't pull away, didn't flinch. What were their names? Elena and Sophia. She was 3 years old. She had these curls, these perfect brown curls, and she laughed at everything. Everything was funny to her. "She sounds beautiful." She was. They both were. Reaper's voice shattered. "I was going to scatter their ashes. That's why I was on that road. There's a spot, a mountain overlook. We used to go there together. I was going to let them go. But you crashed. Black ice. 1 second I was riding, the next I was flying. And then everything went dark." He looked at Emma. "And then there was you, this voice in the darkness, telling me to fight, telling me I mattered. You do matter. I wanted to die, Emma. Reaper's confession hung in the air. I've wanted to die for 6 years. Every day, every single day I think about joining them. And then you found me and you wouldn't let me go. Emma was quiet for a moment. My mommy and daddy are in heaven, she said. Your wife and daughter are in heaven. Maybe they know each other. Maybe they're friends. Reaper stared at her. And maybe, Emma continued, they sent me to find you. Because they didn't want you to come to heaven yet. Because you still have things to do here. What things, I don't know. She shrugged. But we can figure it out together. Ruth felt tears streaming down her own face. This child. This miraculous, impossible child. Mr. Callahan, Ruth said. The doctor says you'll need several weeks to recover. You have family. Someone we should call Reaper's jaw tightened. I have brothers, he said. The club. They're my family now. The Hells Angels. Yes, ma'am. Ruth was quiet. Her son Emma's father had nearly been killed by a motorcycle gang 20 years ago. A random act of violence that had haunted him until the day he died. She'd spent 2 decades fearing men like this. But this man wasn't attacking anyone. He was broken. Shattered. Holding on to a 7-year-old girl like she was his last hope. Do you want me to call them? Ruth heard herself ask. Reaper looked at her. Surprise flickered in his eyes. You'd do that, my granddaughter saved your life. Ruth's voice was firm. That means something. That means you're not a stranger anymore. You're someone she cares about. And anyone Emma cares about is welcome in my home. Reaper's eyes went back to Emma. She's something else, isn't she? Emma grinned. That's what Grandma says. She says it's very annoying. Ruth laughed. Actually laughed. In a hospital room at 4 a.m, holding on to 20 years of fear and prejudice, she laughed. It is annoying, Ruth admitted. But it's also the best thing about her. The call to the club happened 2 days later. Reaper was still in the hospital, but improving. Emma visited every day after school. She'd sit in the chair beside his bed and talk for hours. About butterflies, about her parents, about the dreams where they visited her. Reaper listened to every word. And slowly, carefully, he started talking too. He told her about Elena, how they'd met in high school, how she'd hated him at first because he rode a motorcycle and wore leather jackets, and everyone said he was bad news. But she gave you a chance, Emma said. Yeah. Reaper smiled at the memory. She said everyone deserves a chance to prove who they really are, not who people think they are. She sounds like me. Reaper looked at her. Yeah, kid. She does. He told her about Sophia. Her first steps, her first words, the way she used to fall asleep in his arms while he rocked her. I was going to be a good dad, he said. I was going to be different from my old man. Better. Present. I was going to be there for every moment. You were there, Emma said. For 3 years you were there. It wasn't enough. It was everything Emma insisted. 3 years of love. 3 years of being the best daddy you could be. That's not nothing. That's everything. Reaper couldn't speak for a long moment. How do you do that? He finally asked. Do what make the worst thing in the world feel like it might be okay someday. Emma thought about it. I don't know, she admitted. I just say what I feel. Isn't that what everyone does? No, kid. Reaper's voice was thick. That's not what everyone does. Most people hide what they feel. They build walls. They pretend they're fine. That sounds lonely. It is. Reaper looked at her. It really is. The call to Forge happened that evening. Ruth had brought her old landline phone to the hospital. Cell service was spotty, and Reaper needed to reach his people. Emma sat in her usual chair, watching as Reaper dialed a number from memory. "Forge, it's Reaper." Silence on the other end. Then a voice, deep and rough. "Brother, we thought you were dead. You've been off-grid for days. Where are you, Clearwater, Wyoming?" "Hospital. What happened? Crashed. Black ice." Would have died if not for Emma stopped listening to the words. She was watching Reaper's face, the way it changed as he talked about her, the way his eyes softened, the way his voice cracked. "She saved me," he said into the phone. "A 7-year-old girl found me in a ravine and refused to let me die. She talked to me for almost an hour in the freezing cold. She kept me alive with nothing but her voice and her body heat." Silence on the other end. "Forge, there's something else. This kid hasn't spoken to a stranger in 2 years, some kind of trauma response. Her parents died and she just stopped talking. But she talked to me, she broke her silence to save my life." More silence. "I don't know what it means," Reaper continued, "but it means something. This girl is special, really special." Finally, Forge spoke. "Tell me about her." Reaper told him everything. The ravine, the cold, the stories she'd told him, the way she'd held his hand and refused to let go, the grandmother who'd overcome her fear of bikers to help a stranger. "She sees people," Reaper said. "The real them. Not the jacket or the patches or the reputation. She just sees people." Forge was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that made Reaper's heart stop. "Brother, the whole club needs to hear this. What do you mean? I mean, this kid did something most adults can't do. She looked past everything and saw a human being worth saving. That's rare. That's precious. Forge, what are you thinking? I'm thinking we owe her. The club owes her. You're one of us, Reaper. She saved one of us. She doesn't want anything. She's just a kid." "I know." Forge's voice was different now, softer than Reaper had ever heard it. "That's what makes it matter. She didn't do it for a reward. She did it because it was right. So what do we do?" "We say thank you," Forge said. "The way only we can." Reaper's stomach tightened. "Forge, what are you planning?" "I'm making some calls. Every chapter that can ride. Every brother who can make it." "Forge, she saved your life, Reaper. She gave you back to us. That deserves recognition. Real recognition. She's 7 years old." "I know." Forge paused. "And in my experience, the youngest ones often have the biggest hearts. The ones who haven't learned to be afraid yet. The ones who still believe in good." Reaper looked at Emma, who was pretending not to listen while she arranged flowers someone had sent. "What exactly are you planning to do?" "We're coming, brother. All of us. Every chapter that can ride." Reaper's blood ran cold. "Forge, this is a town of 600 people. They've never seen a Hell's Angel in their lives. If you show up in force, we're not coming to scare anyone." Forge interrupted. "We're coming to say thank you. To honor a little girl who did what most grown men couldn't, who saw a brother dying and refused to walk away." Emma looked up. "Who was that?" she asked. Reaper stared at her. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. "That was my family," he said. "The Hell's Angels." "Yeah. Are they nice?" "Some of them." Reaper managed a smile. "Most of them are just like me, broken people who found each other." Emma nodded like that made perfect sense. "Are they going to visit Reaper?" Looked at the phone in his hand, at the girl in the chair, at the future, hurtling toward them like a freight train. "Yeah, kid," he said slowly. "I think they are." How many Reaper thought about Forge's words? Every chapter that can ride. A lot, Emma. Emma's face lit up. "Cool," she said. "I'll make them cards." She went back to arranging flowers, humming to herself, completely unaware of what was coming. Completely unaware that her act of kindness had set something in motion that couldn't be stopped. Reaper watched her, and for the first time in 6 years, he felt something he'd forgotten existed. Hope. It was terrifying. But maybe, just maybe, it was exactly what he needed. The first motorcycle arrived at dawn. Emma heard it from her bedroom. A deep rumble that shook the windows and made Biscuit bark. She ran to the window and pressed her face against the glass. A man on a black Harley sat at the end of their driveway. He didn't move, didn't approach, just sat there, engine idling, watching the house. Grandma Emma called, "There's someone outside." Ruth appeared behind her coffee cup in hand. Her face went pale. "Stay inside, baby." "But Grandma, I mean it. Stay inside." Ruth walked to the front door and stepped onto the porch. The cold hit her immediately, but she didn't flinch. "Can I help you?" The man on the motorcycle raised his hand. Not a wave. A salute. "Ma'am," he called out. "Name's Hammer. Montana chapter. I'm just the first." First of what? Before. Hammer could answer. Another rumble filled the air. Then another. And another. Ruth's coffee cup slipped from her fingers and shattered on the porch. Within an hour, there were 50 motorcycles lining the road. Within 2 hours, 200. By noon, the rumble was so loud that Ruth couldn't hear herself think. Emma stood at the window, mouth open, counting. 212, she said. 213. 214. Ruth was on the phone with Sheriff Jack Brennan. "I don't know what's happening," she said. "They just keep coming. They're not doing anything. They're just parking and waiting." "How many?" Brennan's voice was tight. "Hundreds, maybe more." "Stay inside, Ruth. I'm on my way." The sheriff arrived with 4 deputies. By then, the count had passed 500. Brennan stood on Ruth's porch, hand on his gun, staring at the sea of leather and chrome spreading across her property. "Mrs. Dawson, do you have any idea why the Hells Angels are descending on Clearwater?" Ruth looked at Emma. "I think," Ruth said slowly, "they're here for her." Brennan's head snapped toward the little girl. Why would they be here for her because she saved one of them?" Brennan was quiet for a moment. Then his radio crackled. "Sheriff, we've got a problem. The state police are reporting a convoy on Highway 287. Estimate 300 more incoming." 300? And that's just from the south. There's another group coming from the east. 200 at least. Brennan rubbed his face. What in God's name did this girl do? Emma tugged on Ruth's sleeve. "Grandma, I want to go outside." "Absolutely not. But they came for me. It's rude not to say hello. Baby, these are dangerous people." "No, they're not." Emma's voice was certain. "They're Reaper's family, and Reaper's not dangerous. He's just sad." Brennan stared at the girl. "Reaper? That's his name. Well, his nickname. His real name is Marcus. Marcus Callahan. He was an Army Ranger. He fought in Afghanistan. He had a wife named Elena and a daughter named Sophia, and they died, and now he's all alone." Emma paused. "Except he's not alone anymore. Because now he has me." Brennan looked at Ruth. "This kid saved a Hell's Angel." "She saved a man," Ruth said firmly. The jacket didn't matter to her. A massive motorcycle pulled up to the edge of the property. The rider was enormous, even bigger than Reaper. Gray beard down to his chest, leather jacket covered in patches. He dismounted and walked toward the porch. Every deputy's hand went to their weapon. The man stopped, raised both hands. I'm not here for trouble, he said. His voice was deep. Commanding. My name is David. My brothers call me Forge. I'm here to see the girl who saved my brother's life. Brennan stepped forward. This is private property. You need to leave. With respect, Sheriff, I'm not going anywhere until I've said what I came to say. Emma pushed past Ruth and walked to the edge of the porch. Are you Reaper's friend? Forge looked at her. Something changed in his face. The hardness melted away, replaced by something almost gentle. Yes, little one. I'm his friend. His brother. He talks about you, Emma said. He says you're the president of his club. That's right. He says you're scary but fair. Forge's lips twitched. Does he now? Emma nodded. But I don't think you're scary. I think you're just big. Forge stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something that made every deputy gasp. He knelt down. Right there in the snow, this massive man president of the Hells Angels Montana chapter knelt before a 7-year-old girl. Emma Dawson, he said. My name is David, and I came a long way to say 2 words to you. Emma tilted her head. What words? Thank you. Behind him, every motorcycle went silent at once. The sudden quiet was louder than the thunder had been, and then one by one every rider dismounted. Every man and woman in leather walked forward, formed lines, and knelt in the snow. 500 people, then 700, then 1,000, all of them on their knees for one little girl. Emma's eyes went huge. Grandma, she whispered. Grandma, why are they kneeling? Ruth couldn't answer. Her throat had closed up. Brennan lowered his hand from his gun. I'll be damned, he muttered. Emma looked at Forge. You don't have to kneel, she said. The snow is cold. You'll hurt your knees. Forge's eyes glistened. Little one, you saved our brother's life. You pulled him back from the edge when he was ready to let go. That deserves more than kneeling. That deserves everything we have. But I didn't do anything special. I just didn't want him to die. Forge shook his head. That's exactly what makes it special. You didn't see the jacket. You didn't see the patches. You didn't see the skull or the name that makes grown men cross the street. He paused. You saw a person. A human being who needed help. And you helped him. Emma was quiet for a moment. My mommy told me that everyone matters, she said finally. Even people who look scary. She said you can't judge someone by their outside. You have to see their inside. Your mommy sounds like a wise woman. She was. Emma's voice caught. She's in heaven now, but I think she'd be happy. I think she'd say I did the right thing. Forge reached out and took her small hand in his massive one. You did, Emma. You did exactly the right thing. The crowd stayed kneeling for what felt like forever. Finally, Forge rose and gestured for his brothers to stand. We brought supplies, he told Ruth. Food, fuel, generators. We've got mechanics who can fix anything that needs fixing. Carpenters, electricians. Whatever you need, ma'am, we're here to provide. Ruth stared at him. Why? Because your granddaughter gave us back our brother. Forge's voice was steady. The least we can do is give something back. Sheriff Brennan stepped forward. Now hold on. This is still my town. I've got 600 residents who are probably terrified right now. I can't just let 1,000 Hells Angels set up camp? 1,800, Forge corrected. Brennan blinked. What final count is 1,847. More are still coming. Forge met the sheriff's eyes. We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to honor a little girl. We'll be peaceful. We'll be respectful. And when we're done, we'll leave. You have my word. Your word, I've never broken it. Forge paused. Look, Sheriff, I know what you think of us. I know the stories. Some of them are even true. But today isn't about any of that. Today is about gratitude. About recognizing that there's still good in this world. A 7-year-old girl reminded us of that. The least we can do is show up and say thank you. Brennan looked at Ruth. At Emma. At the sea of kneeling bikers. One day, he said finally. One day, and then you're gone. You have my word. The next hours were chaos. Good chaos, Emma called it. The best kind. Bikers set up tents. Trucks appeared with food and supplies. A makeshift stage was constructed near the old oak tree. Someone brought a generator that powered speakers and lights. And through it all, Emma moved through the crowd like a tiny queen, greeting each person who approached her. Hi, I'm Emma. What's your name? Silk, a woman with silver hair, said. She pressed a locket into Emma's hand. This belonged to my mother. She died last year. But she would have loved you. She always said kids are the only honest people left. Thank you, Emma said. I'll take really good care of it. A man named Bear, so large he blocked out the sun, knelt before her. My daughter passed 5 years ago, he said. Cancer. She was brave like you. He held out a small patch. An angel with wings. This was hers. I want you to have it. Emma looked at Ruth. Ruth nodded, tears streaming. Thank you, Emma whispered. I'll keep it forever. One by one they came. Hardened men and women covered in tattoos and scars, each with a story. Each with a gift. A leather-bound notebook from a tattoo artist named Sketch. Every artist needs good tools, he said. You just paint with kindness instead of ink. A bracelet from a woman named Phoenix. My grandmother made it. Carried it 30 years. Now it's yours. And then Razor approached. He didn't have a gift. He just knelt down, looked Emma in the eyes, and spoke. I haven't talked to my daughter in 7 years, he said. Stupid fight. Pride. His voice cracked. After hearing what you did, I called her this morning. We talked for 3 hours. Emma's face lit up. Really, really, you reminded me what matters, kid. Family, connection, not holding on to anger. Emma threw her arms around his neck. Razor froze. This little girl hugging him like he was her favorite uncle, like he wasn't a man who had done terrible things. Then his arms came up and he hugged her back. Around them, bikers wiped their eyes. Even Sheriff Brennan looked away, blinking hard. The scholarship was announced at 4 o'clock. Forge gathered the crowd. Nearly 2,000 people now filling Ruth's fields as far as the eye could see. Brothers and sisters, he called out. We came here to say thank you. But thank you isn't enough. Not for what this child did. He pulled out an envelope. Every chapter contributed. Every brother who couldn't be here sent something. The total. He paused, and his voice cracked. $175,000. The crowd erupted. Emma's eyes went wide. What's that mean? Ruth could barely speak. It means you can go to any college you want, baby. They're paying for your future. But I'm 7. Doesn't matter, Forge said. When you're ready, the money will be there. He knelt before her again. This isn't charity, Emma. This is an investment in kindness, an investment in the kind of world we want to live in. Emma looked at the envelope. Can I use some of it to help other kids? Kids who don't have families? Forge stared at her. Ruth let out a sob. You can use it however you want, Forge said slowly. It's yours. Then I want to help people. Emma's voice was firm. That's what I want. Forge looked at the crowd. Did you hear that? He shouted. 7 years old and she wants to use her scholarship to help others. The roar that answered shook the ground. Emma grinned. This is the best day ever. It got better, and then it got complicated. Emma spotted the boy first. He was at the edge of the crowd, half hidden behind a truck. Thin, dirty, wearing clothes too light for the Wyoming winter. Grandma Emma said. Who's that? Ruth looked, frowned. I don't know, baby. I've never seen him before. He looks cold. Stay here, Ruth said. Let me. But Emma was already walking. Ruth scrambled to follow, but the crowd was thick, and Emma was small enough to slip through. By the time Ruth caught up, Emma was standing in front of the boy. Hi, Emma said. I'm Emma. What's your name? The boy's eyes were huge, scared. I should go, he mumbled. I shouldn't be here. But you're cold and hungry, I can tell. The boy's lip trembled. Are you going to call the cops? Why would I do that? Because I ran away. Emma tilted her head. Ran away from where? The boy didn't answer, but his whole body was shaking, and not just from the cold. It's okay, Emma said. You don't have to tell me, but you should come inside. Grandma makes really good hot chocolate. I can't. Why not? Because they'll find me. They'll send me back. Send you back where? The boy's face crumpled. To the bad place. Ruth reached them, breathing hard. Emma, you can't just run off like Grandma. This is my new friend. Emma said it like it was already decided. He needs help. Ruth looked at the boy. Really looked. He was maybe 10 years old. Dirty. Thin. Dark circles under his eyes. The look of a child who had stopped believing anyone would save him. What's your name, honey? Ruth asked gently. The boy hesitated. Lucas, he finally whispered. Lucas Turner. Well, Lucas? Ruth's voice was soft. It's cold out here. Why don't you come inside and warm up? Lucas stared at her. You don't know me. No, I don't. But my granddaughter says you need help, and she's usually right about these things. Lucas looked at Emma. Why are you being nice to me? Emma shrugged. Because you're a person, she said, and people should be nice to each other. Lucas's face crumbled. Tears spilled down his cheeks. Nobody's ever nice to me, he choked out. Nobody ever? Emma took his hand. Come on, she said. Let's go get that hot chocolate. She led him through the crowd, past hundreds of Hell's Angels who parted for her like water, past Sheriff Brennan who watched with his mouth open, past Forge who saw the dirty, shaking boy and immediately started making calls, all the way to the farmhouse, all the way home. Ruth followed, her heart pounding. She was 74 years old. She already had one child to raise. She couldn't possibly take on another. But watching Emma lead that broken boy through the crowd holding his hand like she'd known him forever, Ruth knew the truth. She didn't have a choice. Emma had already decided. Inside the farmhouse, Ruth made hot chocolate. Lucas drank it so fast he burned his tongue. When's the last time you ate? Ruth asked. Lucas wouldn't look at her. 2 days ago, he mumbled. I found some stuff behind the diner. Ruth's hands shook as she made him a sandwich. Emma sat next to him, chattering away about butterflies and her dog Biscuit and all the nice bikers outside. Lucas ate 3 sandwiches, then 4. Then he started crying and couldn't stop. Emma didn't ask questions. She just put her arm around him and held on. It's okay, she said. You're safe now. I promise. Lucas shook his head. You can't promise that. No one can. I can, Emma said firmly, because I found you, and I don't let go of people I find. Lucas stared at her through his tears. Why? Because that's what my mommy would have done. Emma's voice was quiet. Because everyone deserves someone who won't let go. Lucas broke. He told them everything. The mother who overdosed. The father he never knew. The foster home that was supposed to be safe, but wasn't. The man named Gerald Vance, who hurt the kids. Who broke a 7-year-old's arm for spilling milk. I couldn't stay. Lucas sobbed. I couldn't watch it happen to the little ones. So I ran. Ruth was shaking with rage. Emma's face was pale but determined. Outside, through the window, she could see Forge on his phone. His face was dark, dangerous, the kind of face that made grown men afraid. But Emma wasn't afraid. She held Lucas's hand and looked at her grandmother. He's staying with us, Emma said. It wasn't a question. Baby, it's complicated. There's paperwork, the system. He's staying with us, Emma repeated. He has nowhere else to go. He's a person. We help people. Ruth looked at her granddaughter, at Lucas, who was staring at Emma like she'd hung the moon, at the army of bikers outside, every one of them ready to move heaven and earth for a 7-year-old girl who refused to look away from broken things. Okay, Ruth said quietly. Okay. We'll figure it out. Lucas's breath caught. Really? Really? Lucas started crying again, but this time the tears were different. This time they were relief. Emma held his hand tighter. See, she said. I told you I don't let go. Forge called Reaper that night. Brother, we've got a situation. Reaper was still in his hospital bed, healing slowly. The phone pressed against his ear felt like a lifeline. What kind of situation? The girl found someone. A kid. Run away from a foster home 200 miles away. Forge's voice was hard. The things this boy is saying, Reaper. The things that happened to him. How bad? Real bad. The foster father, a man named Gerald Vance. He's been hurting kids for years, beating them, breaking bones, and the system keeps looking the other way. Reaper's free hand clenched into a fist. What do you need? Nothing yet. I've already made calls. We've got brothers in social services, brothers in law enforcement, people who know how to get things done the right way. The right way, clean, legal. When they take this guy down, it's going to stick. Forge paused. But I thought you should know. That little girl of yours, she did it again, did what found someone who needed saving. Saw a scared kid at the edge of a crowd and walked straight to him. Took his hand. Brought him home. Reaper closed his eyes. That's Emma. Yeah. Forge's voice softened. That's Emma. Tell me about the boy. His name's Lucas. 10 years old. Mom overdosed, dad unknown. Foster system chewed him up and spit him out. He's been on the streets for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. In winter, kids tough. Survivor. But he's scared, Reaper. Real scared. The kind of scared that doesn't go away easy. What's Emma doing? Forge actually laughed. What do you think she's sitting next to him, holding his hand, telling him stories about butterflies? Same thing she did with you? Reaper felt his chest tighten. She's something else. Yeah, brother, she really is. Lucas didn't sleep that first night. He lay in the guest bedroom, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something bad to happen. That's what always happened. Good things never lasted. Kind people always had a catch. But nothing bad happened. The house was quiet. Warm. Safe. He could hear Biscuit snoring in the hallway. Could smell something good from the kitchen, even though it was 2 in the morning. A soft knock on his door. Lucas tensed. "It's me," Emma's voice. "Can I come in?" Lucas didn't answer, but the door cracked open anyway. Emma slipped inside wearing pajamas covered in butterflies. She crossed to his bed and climbed up without asking. "I couldn't sleep either," she said. "I never can when something big happens." Lucas stared at her. "Why are you being nice to me? You asked me that already." "You didn't really answer." Emma thought about it. "I don't know," she admitted. "I just felt like I was supposed to. Like something told me to go to you." "That's weird." "I know." Emma shrugged. "I'm kind of weird." Lucas was quiet for a moment. "The man who runs the foster home," he finally said. "He's going to come looking for me." "I know. He's scary. Really scary. He has friends. Important friends. That's why no one ever believes the kids." Emma's jaw tightened. "Those bikers outside, they have friends too. Important friends. And they believe you." "How do you know?" "Because they believe me. And I believe you." Lucas's lip trembled. "Why, you don't even know me. I know enough." Emma's voice was fierce. "I know someone hurt you. I know you were brave enough to run. I know you're scared." She paused. "And I know you're not alone anymore." Tears spilled down Lucas's cheeks. He didn't wipe them away. He was too tired to pretend. "I've never had anyone," he whispered. "Never. My whole life it's just been me, fighting, surviving, waiting for the next bad thing." Emma took his hand. "Then you've never had a family?" "No." "Well, now you do." Lucas looked at her. "You can't just decide that." "Yes, I can." Emma's grip tightened. "I decided about Reaper. I decided about Grandma. I'm deciding about you. What if I'm too broken? Then we'll fix you. That's what families do." Lucas broke down. Full sobs, the kind he hadn't allowed himself since he was small. Emma didn't let go. She just held his hand and waited. "My mom used to tell me stories," she said softly. "When I was scared." She said stories keep the darkness away. "Do you want me to tell you one?" Lucas couldn't speak. He just nodded. So Emma told him a story about a little girl who lost her voice, about a stranger in the snow, about bikers who knelt in the cold for someone who had simply refused to look away. Somewhere in the middle, Lucas fell asleep. Emma stayed until morning. The investigation moved fast. Forge had connections everywhere. Within 48 hours, anonymous tips flooded the State Child Services Department. Former foster children came forward. A teacher provided medical records. A neighbor who had seen things but stayed quiet finally spoke. Gerald Vance was arrested on a Tuesday morning. 14 counts of child abuse. 11 victims. Some as young as 5. Lucas watched the news coverage from Ruth's living room. Emma sat beside him. "They got him," Lucas whispered. "They actually got him." "I told you. I didn't believe you." "That's okay." Emma squeezed his hand. "Sometimes people have to see things to believe them." Lucas looked at the screen, at the man in handcuffs, the man who had broken his arm, the man who had made every night a nightmare. Is it really over? That part is. Emma's voice was steady. Now a new part begins. What new part? The part where you get to be happy. Lucas stared at her. "I don't know how to do that. That's okay too." She smiled. "I'll teach you." The custody hearing came 3 weeks later. Ruth stood before the judge, her best dress pressed and perfect. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Mrs. Dawson, you're 74 years old. You already have legal custody of one minor child. Are you certain you want to take on another, yes, Your Honor? Why Ruth looked at Lucas sitting in the gallery between Emma and Maria Gonzalez, the social worker who had championed their case. Because every child deserves someone who believes in them, Ruth said. Someone who shows up, someone who fights. Lucas has been failed by every adult in his life. I can't fix what happened to him, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. And if something happens to you, then he'll have Emma. Ruth's voice strengthened, and a network of people who have already claimed him as family. The judge looked skeptical. Your references are unusual, Mrs. Dawson. Several of them appear to be members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Yes, Your Honor. You don't find that concerning Ruth lifted her chin. Those people came to my home to thank my granddaughter for saving one of them. They fixed my truck, repaired my fence, filled my pantry. They've committed to helping fund both children's education. She paused. I don't judge people by their jackets, Your Honor. I judge them by their actions. The courtroom was silent. Then a voice broke through. Your Honor, may I speak? Everyone turned. Reaper stood in the back of the courtroom, leaning heavily on a cane. He'd been released from the hospital just 2 days before. He should still be in bed. And who are you, the judge asked. Marcus Callahan, ma'am. Emma saved my life. I'm aware of the story. Then you know what kind of person she is. Reaper limped forward. What you might not know is what kind of person her grandmother is. Please, continue. Ruth Dawson didn't have to help me, Reaper said. She had every reason to turn me away. My jacket, my reputation, everything people say about men like me. He stopped in front of the bench. But she didn't. She opened her door. She let me in. She treated me like a human being. Mr. Callahan, this family doesn't see broken people as problems. Reaper's voice cracked. They see them as people worth saving. Lucas needs that. He deserves that. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Lucas, she finally said, can you stand? Lucas rose, trembling. I've read your file. I've seen what you've been through. I need to hear from you directly. Do you want to live with Mrs. Dawson? Lucas looked at Ruth. At Emma. They're the first people who ever asked me what I wanted, he said. Whoever treated me like I mattered. His voice broke. They're the only real family I've ever had. Please don't take that away. The courtroom was absolutely still. The judge signed the papers. That night they celebrated. Chocolate cake made by Emma, lopsided and slightly burnt, but nobody cared. To family, Ruth said, raising her milk glass. To family, Emma, and Lucas echoed. They clinked glasses. This is weird, Lucas said. Good weird, but weird. Weird is good, Emma told him. Normal is boring. You say that a lot, because it's true. Ruth watched them, these two broken children who had somehow found each other. Emma, who had lost everything and still saw beauty everywhere. Lucas, who had been betrayed by everyone and was slowly learning to trust. Her daughter would have been so proud, her son-in-law too. This was their legacy, not the tragedy, not the loss. This. Reaper came by the next morning. He was still moving slowly, his ribs protesting every step, but he'd insisted on being there. Emma launched herself at him the moment he walked through the door. You came back. Told you I would. You look tired. Thanks a lot, kid. She grinned. I mean, you look like you should be resting, but you came anyway because you love us. Reaper's throat tightened. Yeah, he managed. Something like that. Lucas hung back, uncertain. This man was big, scary-looking. His jacket said Hell's Angels, but Emma trusted him. Reaper looked at the boy. You must be Lucas. Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. Makes me feel old. What should I call you? Reaper met his eyes. Emma calls me Reaper, but my real name's Marcus. You can use either one. Lucas nodded slowly. Emma says you're not scary. Reaper almost smiled. Yeah. What do you think? Lucas studied him for a long moment. I think you're sad, Lucas said finally. Like me. Reaper was quiet. Yeah, kid, he said softly. I guess I am. But Emma says sad people can be happy again, if they find the right family. She tell you that? She tells me a lot of things. Reaper looked at Emma, who was watching this exchange with her head tilted, a small smile on her face. She's usually right, Reaper said. That's what she says too. Emma laughed. I like you two together, she announced. You should be friends. Lucas looked uncertain. Reaper held out his hand. What do you say, kid friends? Lucas stared at the offered hand. At the tattoos. At the scars. Then he took it. Friends? Emma clapped. This is perfect. Now I have 2 brothers. Reaper's head snapped toward her. 2. What? You heard me. Emma. I'm not. Yes, you are. She said it like it was already settled. You're family now. That makes you my brother. Reaper looked at Ruth, helpless. Ruth just shrugged. I stopped arguing with her years ago. You'll learn. Reaper turned back to Emma. Kid, I have a club, a chapter. I can't just... But then he stopped. He looked at this girl. This impossible, miraculous girl who had pulled him back from death, who had broken her 2-year silence to save a stranger, who had somehow, without even trying, given him a reason to live. He looked at Lucas, who was watching with hopeful eyes. He looked at Ruth, who was pretending not to cry. When are you going back? Ruth asked quietly. Reaper was silent for a long time. I called Forge this morning, he finally said. And I told him, I'm not going back. Ruth's breath caught. The club will survive without me. Reaper's voice steadied. I've been running from everything for 6 years. The grief, the pain, the memories. I thought if I just kept moving, kept riding, I could outrun it all. But you can't. No. He looked at Emma. I can't. And I don't want to anymore. What are you going to do? Reaper reached into his jacket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. There's a building in town. Used to be a mechanic shop. Been empty for years. He handed the paper to Ruth. I'm thinking about buying it, opening my own place, motorcycle repair. Maybe some car work too? Ruth stared at the paper. You're staying? If you'll have me. Emma threw herself at him so hard she nearly knocked him over. Yes, 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 yes. Careful, kid. Broken ribs, remember, I don't care. You're staying. You're really staying. Reaper held her tight. Yeah, Emma, I'm really staying. Lucas watched them. Something in his face shifted. Does that mean you'll be around? He asked quietly. Like a lot. That's the plan. Lucas nodded slowly. Good, he said. Emma needs someone to protect her. Emma pulled back, indignant. I don't need protecting. Everyone needs protecting sometimes, Lucas said. That's what you told me. Emma opened her mouth. Closed it. Fine, she said. But I'm also protecting you. Deal. Reaper looked at these 2 kids. At the fierce little girl who had saved his life. At the scared boy who was finally starting to believe in good. I'll protect both of you, he said. Whatever it takes. For as long as I live. That's a long time, Emma said. It better be. Emma grinned. Welcome to the family, Marcus. The name hit him like a wave. No one had called him Marcus since Elena died. No one except this girl. He blinked hard. Thanks, kid. Don't cry. I'm not crying. Yes, you are. It's allergies. You're a terrible liar. I know. Ruth laughed through her own tears. God help me, she said. 3 of them now. 3 of what Emma asked. Impossible people I can't say no to. Emma beamed. You love it. Ruth sighed. I do, she admitted. Heaven help me, I really do. That evening they sat on the porch together. Ruth, Emma, Lucas, and Reaper. 4 people who had found each other in the strangest of circumstances. The sun was setting. The air was cold, but not bitter. Biscuit lay at Emma's feet, snoring. This is nice, Lucas said quietly. Is this what family feels like? Emma nodded. This is exactly what it feels like. Lucas was quiet for a moment. I don't want it to end. It won't, Reaper said. Not ever. How do you know? Because I won't let it. None of us will. Lucas looked at Emma, at Ruth, at Reaper. Promise. Reaper held out his hand. Lucas took it. Promise, Reaper said. Emma placed her hand on top of theirs. Promise. Ruth added hers. Promise. They stayed like that for a long moment. 4 hands stacked together. 4 people bound by something stronger than blood. Then Emma grinned. This is very dramatic, she announced. I feel like we should have music. Lucas snorted. Reaper laughed. Ruth shook her head. And just like that, the moment was perfect. Not because it was serious, but because it was real. Because after everything they'd all been through, they could still laugh. Still hope. Still believe in tomorrow. That night, Emma wrote in her journal. The leather-bound one Sketch had given her. Dear Mommy and Daddy, she wrote. I found another one today. His name is Lucas. He was scared and alone, just like Reaper was. But I held his hand and told him stories, and now he's part of our family. Grandma says I have a gift for finding broken things. But I don't think they're really broken. I think they're just bent. And bent things can be straightened again if you're gentle enough. Reaper is staying. He's going to open a shop in town. He says he wants to be close to us. I think that means he loves us even if he won't say it out loud. Lucas is sleeping in the room next to mine. He's still scared, but less scared than before. Tomorrow, I'm going to show him the butterflies in Grandma's garden. The frozen ones that come back to life in spring. I think that's what we all are. Mommy. Frozen things coming back to life. I miss you every day. Both of you. But I'm not as sad anymore, because I think you sent me these people. I think you're watching from heaven and sending me people to love. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Daddy. I'll take really good care of them, I promise. Love, Emma. She closed the journal and placed it under her pillow. Then she lay in the darkness listening to the sounds of her house, her home. Ruth snoring softly down the hall. Lucas breathing evenly in the next room. Biscuit padding around downstairs. And somewhere out in the night, Reaper in his truck parked at the end of the driveway, keeping watch. She closed her eyes. And for the first time since her parents died, Emma Dawson fell asleep without a single nightmare. 1 year passed faster than anyone expected. Emma turned 8, then 9. Her voice, once locked away by grief, now filled every room she entered. Lucas turned 11, then 12. The scared boy who had arrived at the edge of a crowd slowly became something else. Confident, strong, still careful, still watchful, but no longer afraid. Reaper's shop opened in spring. Callahan's garage, the sign read. Nothing fancy, just good work at fair prices. The Hells Angels came by regularly, not to cause trouble, just to check in, to get their bikes serviced, to see the girl who had changed everything. Forge visited every few months. "How's she doing?" he asked Reaper one afternoon. "Growing up too fast." Reaper wiped grease from his hands. "She's already smarter than me. Probably always was. And the boy, Lucas. He's good, real good. Top of his class. Wants to be a lawyer." Forge raised an eyebrow. "A lawyer, yeah." Reaper smiled. "Says he wants to help kids like him. Kids the system failed. That's something. It really is." Emma appeared in the doorway. "Uncle Forge," she called. "You're staying for dinner, right?" Forge's face softened. "Wouldn't miss it, little one." "Good. Because I made dessert and it's terrible and someone needs to pretend it's good." Forge laughed. "I'm an excellent pretender." "I know. That's why I asked you." She disappeared back into the house. Forge shook his head. "That kid." "I know," Reaper said. "She's still finding broken things every day. Stray dogs, lost cats, kids at school who have no friends." Reaper's voice caught. "She sees them all, every single one. Gift like that is rare." "Tell me about it." The anniversary of the rescue came and went. 2 years, then 3, then 5. The scholarship fund grew. The story spread. People who had never met Emma sent money, sent letters, sent prayers. Clearwater changed too. The town that had once feared the Hells Angels now welcomed them. Sheriff Brennan retired and admitted in his farewell speech that a 7-year-old girl had taught him more about judgment than 30 years in law enforcement. Ruth turned 79. Her body was failing. She knew it. Everyone knew it. But she held on. Grandma Emma said one evening, "You need to rest. I'll rest when I'm dead." That's not funny. Wasn't meant to be. Ruth reached out and touched Emma's face. "I'm not going anywhere yet, baby. I've got too much to see." "Like what?" "Like you graduating high school. Like Lucas becoming a lawyer. Like Reaper finally admitting he loves us out loud. He says it." Emma protested. "He mumbles it." Ruth smiled. "I want to hear him shout it. You'll embarrass him. That's the point." Emma laughed. "I love you, Grandma. I love you too, baby, more than you'll ever know." Ruth passed 6 months later, peacefully, in her sleep, holding Emma's hand. The funeral was the largest Clearwater had ever seen. Larger than the anniversary rides. Larger than anything. 3,000 people came. Bikers from across the country. Families who had been touched by Emma's story. Children from the scholarship program. Teachers. Social workers. Politicians. All of them there for one woman who had opened her door to a dying stranger and changed the world. Emma spoke at the funeral. She was 12 years old. Tall now, with her mother's eyes, and her grandmother's stubborn chin. "My grandmother used to say that everyone deserves someone who won't give up on them," Emma began. She lived that, every single day. She looked at the crowd. "When I found Reaper in that ravine, I didn't think. I just acted, because that's what Grandma taught me, because that's what my parents taught me. You see someone in need, you help them. No questions, no hesitation." Her voice cracked. "Grandma took in a Hell's Angel, then a runaway, then every stray animal I dragged through her door. She never complained. She never turned anyone away." Emma wiped her eyes. "She told me once that love doesn't run out. It just finds new places to go." She paused. "I think she was right. Because she's gone now, but the love she gave us is still here. In me. In Lucas. In Reaper. In everyone she ever helped." She looked at the coffin. "I'm going to miss you, Grandma, every day, forever. But I'm not going to let that grief become armor. I'm going to keep loving people, keep helping people, keep being the person you raised me to be." She smiled through her tears. Thank you for everything. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for teaching me that one person really can change the world." She stepped back. 3,000 people rose to their feet. And somewhere, Ruth Dawson smiled. Reaper adopted them officially 6 months after Ruth's death. The paperwork was complicated. His background, his former club affiliation, everything that should have disqualified him. But Maria Gonzalez fought for them. Sheriff Brennan wrote a letter of support. Forge provided character witnesses from unexpected places. Senators, congressmen, a Supreme Court justice who had heard Emma's story and wanted to help. The judge signed the papers. Emma and Lucas Callahan, brother and sister, forever. That night they celebrated in the farmhouse. Just the 3 of them. To Grandma. Emma said, raising her glass. To Grandma Lucas, and Reaper echoed. "She'd be proud," Reaper said quietly. "She's probably watching," Lucas said, "complaining that we're not eating enough." Emma laughed. "That sounds like her." Reaper looked at his children. His children. The words still felt strange, still felt like a miracle. "I need to tell you something," he said. Emma tilted her head. "What I've been putting something off. For years. Since before the accident." Elena and Sophia, Lucas said quietly. Reaper nodded. "Their ashes. I was going to scatter them that day. On the mountain. Our place. But then I crashed and Emma found me and everything changed. You still have them?" Emma asked. "In my truck. Been carrying them for 6 years. Why didn't you tell us? Because I was scared." Reaper's voice broke. "I thought if I let them go, I'd lose them forever. Lose the last piece of them I had left." Emma took his hand. "You won't lose them," she said. "They're part of you. They'll always be part of you." Reaper stared at her. "How do you know? Because Mommy and Daddy are part of me. Even though they're gone. Even though I can't see them." She squeezed his hand. "They're still here. Right here." She pressed her free hand to her heart. Reaper couldn't speak. Lucas stood up. "We should do it together," he said. "All 3 of us. Take them to the mountain. Say goodbye." Reaper looked at him. "You'd do that?" "We're family," Lucas said simply. "That's what family does." Emma nodded. "Together," she said. "All of us. The way it should be." They drove to the mountain the next morning. The road was the same. The curves, the ice patches, everything that had nearly killed Reaper 5 years ago. But this time he wasn't alone. Emma sat beside him. Lucas in the back, the urn between them. They reached the overlook at sunset. Reaper stood at the edge holding the urn. His hands were shaking. Emma and Lucas flanked him, one on each side. "Tell us about them," Emma said. Reaper was quiet for a long moment. "Elena was stubborn," he finally said. "Stubborn and fierce and beautiful. She saw good in me when no one else did. Believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." What about Sophia? Sophia was perfect. 3 years old, and she already had her mother's eyes. Her laugh could light up a room. He choked on the words. "She used to call me Daddy Bear because I was big and furry and I gave the best hugs." Tears streamed down his face. "I've been carrying them for 6 years, afraid to let go, afraid that if I scattered their ashes I'd forget them, forget her laugh, forget his smile." Emma took his arm. "You won't forget," she said. "You'll never forget. But you have to let them rest." "I know. They're waiting for you," Emma continued. "But not yet. You have to stay here for a while. With us." Reaper looked at her. "That's what you told me in the snow." "I know. You said they sent you to me. I still believe that." Reaper looked at the urn. At the mountain. at the two children who had become his whole world. "Elena," he whispered. "Sophia. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry I held on when I should have let go." He lifted the urn. "But I'm ready now. I found something worth living for. People who need me. People I need." He opened the lid. "I'll always love you. Both of you. Forever. But I have to move forward now. I have to live. For them. For myself." He tipped the urn. The ashes caught the wind, swirled, danced in the fading light. Emma and Lucas each took a handful and let them go too. Together. The way it should be. Goodbye, Elena. Goodbye, Sophia. Reaper fell to his knees. Emma held him from one side, Lucas from the other. They stayed like that until the last of the ashes disappeared into the sky. Then Reaper looked up. "Thank you," he said. "Both of you." "For what?" "For giving me a reason to keep going, for not giving up on me, for being exactly who you are." Emma smiled. "That's what family does." "Yeah." Reaper wiped his eyes. "I guess it is." They drove home in silence, but it was a different kind of silence now. Not empty, not sad. Full. Complete. 10 years passed. Emma graduated high school as valedictorian. Her speech went viral. The girl who had broken her silence to save a stranger, now speaking to millions about the power of compassion. Lucas finished law school at the top of his class. He specialized in child welfare cases. Within 5 years, he had helped reform foster care policies in 3 states. Reaper's shop grew. He hired local kids, troubled kids, kids who reminded him of Lucas, kids who needed someone to believe in them. The Hells Angels never forgot. Every year on the anniversary of the rescue, they returned to Clearwater. Not 1-847 anymore. More like 5,000. Then 10,000. The gathering became a movement. The Emma Dawson Foundation launched when Emma was 22, focused on helping children who had lost their voices to trauma. Within 3 years, they had reached 20,000 kids. Within 10 years, 50,000. Emma met Daniel at 25. A quiet man. A teacher. The kind of person who saw the world the way she did. They married at the farmhouse. Forge walked her down the aisle. Reaper cried the entire ceremony. Lucas gave a speech that made everyone laugh and then sob. 2 years later, Emma had a daughter. They named her Sophia, after the girl who never got to grow up, after the family that had started everything, 20 years after the frozen night. Emma stood on the porch of her farmhouse, her grandmother's farmhouse. Now hers. She was 37 years old, a mother, a foundation director, a woman who had touched millions of lives. Reaper sat beside her, 73 now, gray-haired, slower, but still there, still family. Lucas was inside playing with Sophia. The little girl's laughter echoed through the house. "You thinking about her?" Reaper asked. "Always," Emma said. "Grandma, my parents, all of them. They'd be proud." "I hope so." Emma looked at the road, the same road she'd walked 20 years ago, the same curve where she'd seen the smoke. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't crashed every day? Would you change it?" Reaper was quiet for a long moment. "No," he finally said. "I wouldn't. Even though you almost died. Because I almost died. Because you found me. Because everything that happened after Elena and Sophia dying, me joining the club, me riding that road that day, all of it led me here. To you. To Lucas. to a life I never thought I'd have. Emma smiled. Grandma used to say everything happens for a reason. She was right. I know. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Sophia burst through the door. Mommy! Mommy! There's someone on the road. Emma's heart stopped. What? A man on a motorcycle. He crashed. I can see him from my window. He's not moving. Emma stood so fast her chair fell over. She looked at Reaper. He looked at her. Sophia tugged her hand. We have to help him, Mommy. That's what we do. We help people. Emma looked at her daughter. 7 years old, brown hair in messy braids, eyes full of fierce determination. The same age Emma had been. The same look. You're right, baby. Emma took her daughter's hand. Let's go. They ran together. Mother and daughter. Down the porch steps, across the yard, toward the road. Lucas appeared beside them. Then Reaper moving slower, but refusing to be left behind. A family. Running toward someone who needed help. The way it had always been. The way it would always be. The man was unconscious when they reached him. Leather jacket. Motorcycle on its side. Blood on his face. Emma knelt beside him. Checked for a pulse. Found one. He's alive, she called out. Sophia dropped to her knees next to her mother. What do I do? Emma looked at her daughter. 20 years ago, she had been in this exact position. A child. Scared. Alone. Facing something too big to handle. But she hadn't been alone. Not really. Her parents had been with her. Her grandmother. Everyone who had ever loved her. And now Sophia had the same thing. Talk to him, Emma said. Keep him awake. Tell him he's not alone. Sophia nodded. She took the man's hand. Mister, she said. Mister, can you hear me? The man groaned. It's okay, Sophia continued. I'm Sophia. I'm 7. My mommy's here. She's going to help you. The man's eyes fluttered. That's it. Keep talking to him, Emma instructed. I'm calling for help. Sophia held the stranger's hand tighter. My grandpa says everyone deserves someone who won't give up on them, so I'm not giving up on you. Okay? The man's eyes opened. Confused. Scared. Angel, he whispered. Sophia shook her head. Not an angel. Just Sophia. But I'm going to help you anyway. Emma watched her daughter. Her heart was so full it hurt. This was the legacy. Not the foundation, not the money, not the thousands of lives touched. This, a 7-year-old girl holding a stranger's hand on a frozen road, refusing to look away, refusing to give up. Lucas knelt beside them. Ambulance is coming, he said. Emma nodded. She looked at her family. Reaper standing guard. Lucas already on the phone with the hospital. Sophia still talking to the stranger, still holding his hand. And she looked at the sky, at the clouds moving slowly overhead. Thank you, Mommy, she whispered. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you for teaching me that one person can change everything. The ambulance arrived 7 minutes later. The man survived. His name was Michael, a veteran, struggling with PTSD. He had been on his way to end things, to find a quiet place and let go. But a 7-year-old girl had found him instead, had held his hand, had told him he wasn't alone. 6 months later, Michael spoke at the Emma Dawson Foundation's annual gala. I was ready to die, he said. I had given up, lost everything. And then this kid found me. This 7-year-old kid with her messy braids and her fierce eyes, and she wouldn't let go. He looked at Sophia sitting in the front row with Emma. She told me everyone deserves someone who won't give up on them. He paused. Nobody had ever said that to me before. Nobody had ever believed it about me. His voice cracked. But she did. A child I'd never met. A stranger who saw me bleeding on the road and decided I was worth saving. He wiped his eyes. That's what this foundation is about. That's what Emma Dawson built. Not just programs and scholarships, something bigger, a belief, a truth. He looked at Emma. Everyone matters. Everyone deserves help. Everyone deserves someone who won't look away. The crowd was silent. I'm alive because a 7-year-old girl believed that Michael continued. And now I spend every day trying to live up to it, trying to be the person she saw in me. He smiled. That's the power of kindness. It doesn't just save lives, it transforms them. The applause was deafening. Emma held Sophia's hand. You did good, baby, she whispered. Sophia grinned. I just did what you taught me. What's that, see people? Really see them. And never ever look away. Emma pulled her daughter close. The story of Emma Dawson began with one choice. A 7-year-old girl too small to move a dying man, but too brave to let him die alone. That choice became 1847 motorcycles. Those motorcycles became a movement. That movement became 50,000 children saved. 50,000 children became a world transformed. But it started with 5 words whispered on a frozen road. Please don't die on me. And now 20 years later, another 7-year-old girl had whispered the same words, held another stranger's hand, refused to look away. The cycle continued. The legacy lived on, not in buildings or bank accounts, in hearts, in hands held tight against the cold, in the simple, profound belief that every single person matters, that everyone deserves help, that kindness is the most powerful force in the world. Emma Dawson knew that at 7 years old. She taught it to everyone she met, and now her daughter would carry it forward, into the future, into forever, because that's what love does. It doesn't end. It doesn't fade. It just finds new places to go, and new hands to hold.